Hey everyone and welcome to another video guys, and today we're going to be covering advanced laning tips. Now this is going to be a miniature series tying on the back end of that micro and tethering video I did a few days ago. So if you haven't checked that one out yet, I highly recommend watching that one first, because if you don't have an understanding of solid micro and solid tethering, then none of this advanced laning stuff is really going to make sense, or you're not even going to be able to execute it in the first place. So let's dive straight in guys. Now around a month and a half ago guys, I started thinking to myself, Curtis, I'm not happy with my current level of play, because for the majority of the season I've been hovering between 300 to 450 LP, and this is mainly because I've been learning other champions, doing YouTube content, doing all of these things for my YouTube channel, and I haven't really been focusing on my own improvement. So around a month and a half ago, I started to realize, Curtis, you need to get your shit together. You need to figure out what is holding you back from climbing, and you need to significantly improve every aspect of your gameplay. And I needed to figure out what was going wrong. Why wasn't I able to climb deep into the challenger ladder? So as we can see here, looking at my tier graph, this was on the 8th of the 8th. I was at 231 LP. I had a massive slump period. I was not confident in my gameplay. I wasn't really comfortable in my champion pool. I didn't really know what I needed to improve on as a player. Like, I had a lot of knowledge, but something wasn't clicking. Whether it was my micro or my laning phase, something just wasn't right. So I started to go very, very deep into my reviews, watching a lot more high elo Chinese and Korean solo queue players, and I realized there were a bunch of small details about my gameplay I was just completely missing. So I started really honing on my laning phase and a lot of details within my gameplay. So over the past 2 months, I've been climbing because I obviously want to end challenger at the end of this season, and now I'm sitting at around 687 LP. I've been dominating on Orianna recently, 15 wins, 5 losses on my last 20 games. I haven't duoed a single game, and now I'm pretty deep into challenger at the moment, probably sitting at around rank 20. I think I'm sitting at around rank 20 or rank 21. Now, this isn't to show off how good I am. Basically, I'm trying to give you the backstory in terms of what motivated me to find out what was going wrong with my laning phase, what was going wrong with my gameplay, and today I want to share with you essentially what I found and what I've been working on, or one of the aspects I've been working on within my gameplay. So let's go a little bit deeper, guys. So what I've realized was that my climb was purely dependent on the quality of all the small details that created micro advantages. Small wins that added up over the course of a game. Now today I want to share in a small multi-part series as a continuation of my micro video, the small things that really helped me. And I realized all of these things through my own VOD reviews, watching point of view VODs of Chinese, Korean solo queue players and competitive players. Now, these are not sexy things. Some of them may seem incredibly boring, or you may even think, how the hell is this even going to get me results or get me wins? And they may even seem a little bit useless, but if you put them all together and you do them consistently, they do add up to create wins. So the first thing we're going to be covering today is advanced wave manipulation. And this is probably the thing that gave me the most immediate results on my climb up through challenger. Now, I actually realized I had an invisible narrative about the need to always have priority. And after watching Dopa's Orianna specifically, very in-depth and very detailed, I've come to the conclusion that building and holding waves are two of the most underutilized mechanics in the mid lane. Yes, there will be moments where shoving for immediate priority is very important. For example, when your jungle is actually invading or starting an objective like Dragon or Rift Herald, or maybe you're trying to deny CS from the opposing roaming mid laner or dead mid laner, or you want to collapse on an immediate skirmish within the river, or maybe you're the side lane setting up a side lane dive or something like that. But most of the time, I would say, most of us shove without properly assessing the quality of the priority we're actually getting, and we don't actually understand what we're missing out on by either holding waves or building waves. Now, in my experience, we often shove due to bad experiences in the past, or the fear of getting flamed, or the fear of your counterpart roaming, or because you just heard somewhere that priority equals good. And that was actually one of the main reasons I just shoved, because I'm like, oh, I have priority, that is good, I am helping my team, which is to a certain extent great, but I realized I was missing out on so many opportunities. Now, this actually ties into a deeper philosophy I've realized about mid lane in general. Now, this is just something I've actually found out not too long ago, and essentially this is how my laning phases are actually going in terms of wave manipulation. So stage number 1, I begin to take solid trades or start winning my lane or winning trades. Now, instead of viewing, and most people think winning trades equals winning, getting kills, getting solo kills, getting invades, all these things. The way I view it is stage number 2 is all it is simply you're creating a resource advantage where I have more HP or more pots or more mana than the enemy. Now, what does that actually lead me to do? Then, because I have a resource advantage, either more HP or more mana over the enemy and more pots, this gives me full control over what I can do with the wave. Now, this is where now, instead of just hard shoving and resetting, or hard shoving and invading, or hard shoving and roaming, I've decided to be a little bit more greedy. This is where I begin to choke out my opponent by slow building waves, harassing, denying CS, denying XP, or either just straight up holding waves on my side and forcing the enemy to take really bad recalls, which stage 4, choke them out to deny resources, Khabib style. So if any of you out there maybe watch UFC, some of you may have heard of Khabib and the way he actually wins fights. He's undefeated. The way he wins fights, he just chokes them out slowly, beat them down bit by bit. This is my philosophy with mid lane at the moment. Then what happens, stage 5, the enemy jungle and support have to relieve pressure for their laner so they can get a decent reset, in which you're just relieving pressure from around the map and they're sharing XP, or no one comes to save them and they just lose a lot of XP, gold, that sort of thing. And then tying all this together, all these small wins add up to create big wins. Now don't worry, I'm going to show examples of what this actually looks like, and we're going to go through plenty of examples, but essentially this is the 6 stages and what's really been getting me results. Now this is actually why Corrupting Pot and Time Warp Tonic is so incredibly strong, because not only you have access to a lot of resources, you can get them whenever you want. You literally get them immediately. So what happens in terms of winning trades, or after you win trades, it helps you really develop and create a massive resource gap and a massive resource advantage. And the way Dopa actually utilizes this resource advantage, he actually does it to create very awkward situations for the enemy mid laner. Either they lose a lot of XP, a lot of CS, or they overextend themselves, die to ganks, or just take really, really bad trades. So he does it in a very he utilizes this advantage in a very slow, calculated way, which again I will show in the examples, guys. And what we're going to do now is go into a bunch of different examples to show the strength of proper wave management, guys. Now, for this first example here, guys, I'm going to be showing you how I basically remove this mid lane Lucian from the game through pure wave management and solid trading. Now, to give a little bit of context for this specific example, we actually invaded the enemy's red buff level 1, and I was fortunate enough to get first blood, but I didn't have enough time to recall and spend my gold, and I missed 3 melees, I think 2 or 3 melees worth of XP. So our XP was basically the same, because I get a little bit of XP from the kill, whereas he denies me a bit of XP from the minions. So overall, we were even XP. Then Nidalee came through and actually blew Lucian's flash, and then me and Lucian actually heavy traded. Now, I've actually blown all 3 of my corrupting pots already by 3 minutes. Okay, now one of the benefits of Corrupting Pot and Time Warp Tonic and Biscuits, as you'll see, is that it allows me to create a resource advantage. Now in this situation, Lucian has opted in for D-Blade. Now D-Blade, in my opinion, isn't a great item start, because again, your resources come through hitting the enemy minions, and if you get too low with D-Blade, it's very difficult to replenish resources because the enemy can zone you away from the wave. Now, this is one of the main reasons Dopa takes Time Warp Tonic with Corrupting Pot and Biscuits, is because it's a very reliable way to create a resource advantage. Now, stage number 3 of that diagram is about how we're going to use this resource advantage. Now, I've taken good trades, I've created that resource advantage. How are we going to utilize this resource advantage to create a favorable situation and choke out the enemy? Now, here, I'm utilizing my resource advantage to zone this Lucian away from thinning the wave and begin a slow push or a slow build. Now, I've got to be a little bit careful here, because this Lucian actually has opted in for Ignite, whereas I have TP. So whenever you see a combat spell versus a utility spell, you've got to be very careful about not giving them a ability or the ability to use that combat spell for a solo kill. So yes, I'm low and he's low, but I still got to walk that tightrope of, abusing my range advantage, utilizing my resource advantage to build the wave, but not get so low that Lucian can literally straight up kill me with his Ignite. So I really got to walk that tightrope here. So anyway, I know this is an isolated 1v1 because Karthus' early clear is kind of screwed, but I'm utilizing this resource advantage to begin building a wave in which I can get a reset, I can poke under tower, I'll do whatever I want to do. So I'm focusing on my CS. Again, I'm really trying to be careful because Lucian can close that gap with the E and do a lot of damage to me with that ignite. So I am trying to be a little bit cautious here. But my main goal right now is to safely slow build in and get a reset for myself. And this is how I'm going to begin that slow choke. CS, CS, CS. I'm trying to walk aggressive enough. And the key to this, guys, is you have to position aggressively enough as a champion to prevent this person from thinning out the wave. Because if I sit all the way back here or up here or anywhere near these minions, then Lucian's going to be able to walk up aggressively, thin these minions, and sometimes if you don't position aggressively enough, this wave won't even crash because they'll thin it so much it's going to kind of come out here because it won't kill these minions fast enough, and then it can turn into an absolute nightmare. So my goal was to position aggressively enough to prevent the solution from thinning out this wave. But I still don't really want an aggressive all-in trade yet. So I use this slow build to get an immediate reset. Now, in this situation, what's going to happen? There's a few things that can happen here. Lucian can actually insta-recall knowing that he doesn't have TP, in which the wave's actually going to slow build out to me because the wave actually stops here temporarily, so it's actually going to slow build out to me, which is great for me because, again, it's going to slow build to me, in which I could walk past the wave and create another slow build or even just freeze on my side of the lane. Or Lucian can stay trying to get the wave out and force my TP, because if he doesn't recall now, and so let's just say he does recall now, I don't really have to use my TP. So, but if he does stay and shove out, I do have to use my TP to get back to lane. So I get my early aggressive items. I go for a Doran's Ring and a Dark Seal, which again complements my early access to resources to really bully the opponent off waves and really control every single wave state. That's essentially what this early itemization will allow you to do. So Lucian decides to stay to force out the TP from me. Now, what do we see? This wave is actually pushing back to me. So I don't want to touch this wave, right? I don't care about getting pressure and priority and deep vision and roaming. I'm Orianna. I want to isolate the lane. I want to slow choke and deny as much resources from this Lucian as possible. And that's how I'm going to create a massive resource advantage. And that's how I'm going to get really, really far ahead of this Lucian. So what happens here? I just walk past the wave, force this Lucian to get incredibly low. And again, leave the wave slow building to me. Harass, harass, harass. I don't want to touch the minion wave. And a lot of rookie players in this situation, they will come here and they'll say, oh, low Lucian, I'm just going to QW here and hit all the minions in the meantime because it's, it's okay. I can just, shove the wave and do it and like bounce the wave again. But no, it's actually more efficient for me not to touch the wave. And it's in terms of just resource denial and let the wave come back to me. I'm thinking long term here. So I deny, trying to zone, I deny that cannon, because I actually see how I actually zone Lucian from the cannon. I actually stand in front of the cannon here, so he can't even W it as well, so I deny him that cannon worth of XP. No, actually, I think he gets XP, but not gold there. But anyway, I see the enemy jungle invade our jungle, so I try to walk over here, maybe to collapse on a kill, but they get in before I can get there. Lucian thinks that's his time to get the wave out, but he still can't get the wave out, so I bully him off again, holding my my freeze, essentially. So now, Lucian's losing 4 creeps in this wave. He's also going to lose a bunch of creeps in the next wave, so he has to obviously recall at the moment. So I fast forwarding a little bit here. I thin the wave until there's 4 creeps, so 4 creeps is all I need for a freeze anyway. Just last hitting, being very, very patient, knowing I have full resources, I don't need to recall. And I hold here, fast forwarding a little bit longer. I deny entire wave off of Lucian. I could have maybe thinned the wave a little bit better because it actually crashes into my tower. But still, it's on my side. Now, because there's only 3 creeps here, this is actually going to slow build out to the Lucian, which is completely fine, okay? I don't need to rush anything here. This is completely fine. Yes, it's not frozen, but what does it mean? Because I'm slow building out, I can build waves, right? So what I'm going to do in a moment, you'll see me in a second, walk past the minion wave to continue to build waves, because building waves allows me to do everything better. It allows me to get way more priority. It allows me to potentially even deny XP and deny CS. It allows me to poke under tower a lot more effectively. Now, one key thing to understand here, because of me already denying a bunch of CS in the first few levels here, I know I have the XP advantage. Okay, I know I have the XP advantage, so I know I'm going to get level 6 first. And if I get level 6 first, he has to respect, and I can use that, to, again, to deny more XP. And the gap's going to get larger and larger. So now, I'm just last hitting, again, completely fine to slow build. Now, Lucian has two choices. He has to completely respect and not take too much damage, because if he takes too much damage here, when the wave actually does crash, he'll be incredibly scared to CS under tower. Or he tries to CS from a distance with W, in which it's going to actually make the slow build even slower, this wave even bigger, and it's actually going to hurt him in the long run. And a lot of players aren't going to know what to do in this situation. And they're actually going to completely get caught off guard by you hitting 6 first. And don't worry, we're going to show plenty of examples about how replicable this sort of strategy actually is in a lot of different matchups. Now again, I'm completely fine to slow build here. I know I'm going to get level 6 soon, and now my plan again, because the wave is so deep on my side, Lucian can't walk up too far, because then he's potentially going to be scared to die to ganks, or if he uses abilities on the wave to try and prevent the slow build, then I can walk past the wave and use my abilities on him and take really solid trades. And I'm okay. If I walk up here, I'm making him make a choice. Do you want to take a trade with me, or do you want to lose your farm? And if he takes the trade on me, I'm completely fine, because I have 3 corrupting pots and a biscuit. I have a lot of sustain. I'm all good. And I'm slow building anyway. And even if he takes a heavy trade onto me, and say I take a really bad trade and have to blow through 2 of my corrupting pots, it's fine. I'm slow building out, and then I can go for another reset again if I need to. Slow build, denied him a cannon. I get level 6, and look what I do. Just walk really far past the wave here. And literally deny him XP. Now I'm literally denying him XP. Now, one of the rookie mistakes I see from a lot of mid laners in this situation is that they actually walk back up here to CS the minions, because they don't want to like lose gold. But it's better to actually deny this guy from XP than it is to get gold myself. So I'm actually denying this Lucian from XP completely. And yes, it's going to come at the expense of me missing CS, but I don't care. I actually don't care about getting gold. Like 30 gold doesn't mean as much as like, you know, denying this guy 2 or 3 creeps worth of XP. So as you can see, I messed up my Q a little bit here, so I have to go back and pick up my ball. But again, I'm still slow building, so it's all good. Slow build, slow build, slow build. Notice I'm very careful about how I use my abilities. I don't really want to be QWing through the wave, because then it will turn it into a fast push. I'm trying to always walk past the wave, then use abilities, so it's not touching any of the creeps. Now, in some situations, if you're duo, maybe you're duoing with a jungler, or you have a very aggressive jungler, you can ping assist me here. Say, come mid, dive mid, and literally dive off this built wave. Or, sometimes even if you can't dive, you can literally get the jungler to come mid with you and threaten, and force this guy to back off the tower, and he actually misses all of the CS under tower. That actually happens sometimes, but if you're a duo, you can definitely replicate this. So I'm now utilizing my built wave to get harass. Exactly what you can do. And I know this is, I'm completely fine to not die to ganks, because I'm versing a Karthus, I have phase rush, I know I can't die. And you'll see me in a second ward. If I was versing more of an aggressive jungler, I would actually ward as the slow build is coming out. I would actually quickly duck over here and chuck a ward on this little ledge there, so I can actually effectively abuse this slow built wave under tower. Trying to get some more poke down. CS. I get a nice little deep ward onto the raptors there. Again, use this time to get more damage onto the tower and more poke onto this Lucian. Getting some really solid poke down. Now, look at this. Look what I do again. Notice how I don't Q through these minions here. I actually let the wave come out again. It's actually going to slow build back out to me again. Alright? So again, rinse, repeat. Slow building back out to me. Yes, it might not even fully slow build out to me, but it might even just sit here and go back to the middle of the lane, in which I can begin a slow build again. My default response every single time nowadays is I never want to just hard push. If I don't need a hard push for immediate priority, or for an immediate dive, or an immediate side lane play, or for an immediate objective, my default response is either hold, walk past, or hold and slow build, okay? Always better. Notice again, I'm just walking past the wave, really trying to deny this Lucian, because I'm the one with resource advantages. Yes, I've had to blow through 2 of my corrupting pots going for these aggressive trades, but that's the benefit of going corrupting pot and time or tonic. And I always get asked that question, what's the benefit of Time War Tonic and Corruptible? This is literally it. It gives me control over the wave. It creates a resource advantage. I can't do this without a resource advantage. Now, eventually, Lucian gets really upset trying to push out the wave, and look what I do. I can just leave it, and it's going to slow build out to me again. It's going to slow push back to me again, in which I can freeze, or I can, again, reset if he resets and deny him more farm. Notice I'm just last hitting. Now, I see this Lucian very, very low, so I have two options at this point in time. I can just let the wave come out and deny him more CS and freeze and reset myself, whatever. Or I can actually start hard shoving this and dive this Lucian under tower and deny him all this farm plus get the kill. In this situation, because this was a high-low game, I thought my jungle would at least have some sort of lane awareness to understand the lane state so we can actually kill this guy. So I was actually trying to push the wave in and get a dive off. For some reason, Nidalee actually greeted for the blue buff before going for the dive. So I was actually trying to time my wave push with Nidalee's timing from the blue, but that actually really pissed me off. And then we actually missed a dive opportunity because he took too long, and then Karthus was able to defend the dive, unfortunately. But whatever, it is what it is. Now Lucian's so low, I still feel completely fine to do whatever I want with the wave. Now I decide to just hard shove it in and deny Lucian farm. So fast forwarding a little bit here, get the wave in and reset myself. And now look at the state of the lane. It's 8 minutes 45 in. I'm Orianna into Lucian. I'm 74 CS to 39, and that's even with me missing quite a bit of CS in this lane. And on top of that, he's actually been denied XP. Right, there's actually minions here that he hasn't just missed like gold. He's literally missed XP. So in terms of XP, I think I'm literally over maybe a level or even more above Lucian. Maybe even a level and a half potentially. I don't know, but I am a lot, very, very far ahead in XP and gold this game. So now I come back with Lost Chapter, and the game's completely exploded. So this is a good first solid example about this strategy and what I try to think about when manipulating waves and how I can really dominate laning phase with this strategy. We're going to go through plenty more examples, guys, so stay tuned. So in this example here, guys, I'm playing Orianna into Yone, and I've actually been slow building the first few waves into this Yone, trying to crash it under tower. Then I see my Warwick actually aggressively invade this Heck Room, so I use this as an opportunity to back him up. Try and make sure I spot out the Heck Room and make sure this Warwick can safely get this blue buff and deny this blue buff off the Heck Room. Now, because I've actually shoved those waves under the tower, it's going to be slow building back out to me, so I make my way back to mid lane. Now, what do we know? This is slow building back to me. So my job is to make sure that this wave doesn't crash under my tower. I want to keep the wave on my side. I still have 3 corrupting pots. I still have a biscuit. Yone actually has D shield with 1x health pot. So I know I have the resource advantage here. I'm completely fine in holding it on my side, so I can actually take some very solid trades. So I'm trying to thin the wave a little bit here because I know Yone is desperately trying to get the wave out. Yone tries to get the wave out here, and what do? I just pull the wave. Nothing too special here. Pull the wave, hold it onto my side. Now this, again, isn't frozen, but it will temporarily hold it here. And the reason this is important is, again, it will be here temporarily, and which this time I can walk past the wave, I can take aggressive trades with my corrupting pot, I can then begin a slow build into a reset, a slow build into harass, or whatever I want to do. The most important thing here isn't the freeze, it's the ability to begin slow building waves. So I'm just last hitting here. Again, I don't want to hard push anything. That's not my game plan here. And then Yone, a lot of the time, or a lot of melee champions, or any champion in general, they're either going to walk up aggressively to try and get this wave and crash it under tower, in which I will walk up aggressively and take that fight and use aggression and aggressive trading, even at the sacrifice of a lot of my resources, utilizing my corrupting pots and my biscuits to prevent them from getting this wave out. Or they will sit all the way back here, and in which they're scared to walk up because they might die to a gank. I might have an Elise or a Lee Sin or something like a Warwick like I do here, in which they will actually not get access to any of these minions. They'll probably lose a bit of gold, and then I can begin my slow build and create those advantages that way. So here I'm just last hitting, trying to walk past the wave, make Yone make a choice between thinning the wave or taking harass from me. And if this person is stupid, and a lot of mid laners are, they will walk up, they will take too much damage, and then as this wave actually slow builds out, they'll be so low that they actually can't get the wave anyway, and then they're completely screwed. So it's like I'm finding a way to checkmate them. Again, doing that chokehold. I'm like Khabib, you know, Khabib versus Conor McGregor. This is literally what Khabib versus Conor McGregor would look like if it was within League of Legends. Okay, so again, now I know Yone's too low. I know there's no point in slow building. It's pushing back, so I decide to hard push. Worst case scenario, Yone actually stays, in which I'm going to get a really good tempo reset anyway. But the point is, again, I'm getting the wave in, denying CS, and again, creating another slow build opportunity back towards me to rinse, repeat that process. So I instantly recall here. 34 CS to 20. He's actually going to miss that cannon and maybe one or two other minions as well. Get the same early aggressive itemization. TP back with my Dorans, my Darkseal, my tier 1 boots. And now what's going to happen? The wave's actually going to slow build back out to me. So let's fast forward just a little bit here. We take some aggressive trades here. Me and Yone take some very aggressive trades. We'll see in a second. I'm happy to take these aggressive trades. Why am I happy to take these aggressive trades, guys? I have the resource advantage. I have the corrupting pot. I have the biscuits. And now I know the wave's going to be slow building out to me. What happens when the wave's slow building out to you? What do? You don't touch it. You try and only use your abilities onto the enemy. I don't want to use my abilities on the wave because then it's going to start pushing to the Yone. I don't want that. So now I'm just harassing the Yone, making his life incredibly difficult. And if you want the enemy to push into you, sometimes you can actually bait them out by standing in the middle of the wave, in which they're going to hit the wave as well. That's another tactic of doing that. Now I'm just last hitting here. Get a nice little trade onto the Yone here. Yone's getting very, very low. The wave's actually coming back out to me. Beautiful. Just last hitting, chilling. Now my Twitch is coming. I'm trying not to make it obvious. I was trying to make it very disguise my movements, but this Yone has good reaction times and is actually able to walk out of that. Regardless, I'm creating myself a pretty significant CS lead because this Yone is not able to walk up whatsoever. Now, again, I'm under the assumption that this Yone has to reset because of him being chunked out, so I end up hard shoving again, and which is what's going to happen again. It's going to push back out to me, and now I'm 55 CS to 29. I've basically completely mitigated the entire early laning phase. I put myself in a very good position. I'm never in a position to have to blow flash, and I'm exerting a lot of threat onto this enemy Yone. So he's missed a lot of XP, a lot of gold, and I'm finding myself in a very favorable situation. So as you can see, it's the same principles, just applied in a different game, in a different matchup, in a little bit of a different way, guys. So let's take a look at another example. So in this example here, guys, I'm playing Orianna into Akali. Both of us actually have TP, but because Akali actually hit the wave in the early game, the wave's actually pushing to me at level 3. Now, unfortunately, this is a game where I actually went Doran's Ring and 2 pots, and this is where I was actually starting to create that strategy. This is where I was actually starting to realize how strong building waves and holding waves actually was, but I hadn't fully completed the piece of the puzzle. Like, I was still missing the Time Warp Tonic and the biscuits and all of that stuff. But I was starting to really realize how strong this strategy is. So you can actually see me in this game play much slower. And upon VOD review, I was thinking to myself, if I just had Time Warp Tonic Corrupting Pot, I would have been able to dominate this matchup so much more. So in this situation, look what we see. The wave's coming to me. I'm just completely chill, harassing this Akali every single time she walks up, because this Akali knows the wave's pushing into me. It's going to be frozen. She has to do something to unbreak this freeze. Either she sacrifices HP to get the wave in, or she has to call her jungler. Either way, it's really suboptimal, okay? So my way of preventing her from getting this wave out is by trading aggressively onto the champion. It's not by thinning this wave. It's actually by adding or putting my aggression onto this Akali. So anyway, I'm directing all of my attention onto this Akali, being very careful about how many minions I'm hitting, because again, I don't want this wave to crash under my tower. So I'm really focusing all my auto attacks, all of my abilities onto this Akali. This is exactly what Dopa does as well. Again, harass. Akali's desperate to get this wave onto tower. And bang, she's super frustrated. Because in this situation, what she should have done is actually just taken the loss, recalled, lost all of this farm, allowed me to freeze, and then TP back. But if she'd done that, she knows she's going to have a really bad first recall. Like, maybe she's only going to be able to afford a refillable and a pink ward. Like, she barely has any gold at this point in time. So, maybe she wants to greed and make sure she gets the wave out so she doesn't have to use TP to get back to lane or something like that. I don't know. But she greeds. She comes back in thinking that she can maybe survive, maybe with a fleet footwork auto attack or something like that. But then I just chase her down and kill her. Now, this is not what's important. What's important is how I play the lane after this. So I hold the freeze here. I don't panic. Now what I'm trying to do is juice. I'm trying to juice the amount of gold I'm going to have upon my recall. So Akali comes back, denying as much CS as I can here. I know I can't really die to this Akali, so I'm just chilling, last hitting as much as I can, trying to get a big reset for myself. Now, I know I can't stay for 1300 gold for my lost chapter, so I know I have to recall here. This is why the Time of Tonic as well strategy is so much better, because I get much more value from basing on an early Doran's Ring and a Dark Seal. So anyway, I know my resources are kind of screwed here, so I just go back for a recall. Completely fine. And this Akali sees me recall. I go back for a tier, which I hate as a first item recall, but it is what it is. It's what I happen to do in this specific game. Look what I do. Akali hit the wave. Akali queued the wave. Boom. That's my sign. I know I can keep the wave on my side again. And harass. And look at this. Akali's trying to get the wave in. Q. A lot of people panic. It's like, oh, I'm versing Akali. Oh, you know, he's going to get priority. Oh no, Akali's going to roam. Dude, Akali's level 5. Even if Akali hits level 6, I'm going to see his roams from a mile away. Akali doesn't really want to roam if the wave's on this side, because she's going to lose a lot of XP and a lot of gold. And as long as I ping way in advance, really try and pressure this Akali and take aggressive trades onto this Akali, she's going to be roaming on pre-first item spike with not many resources, and to be honest with you, getting seen from a mile away. So I really don't think that's a big deal. It's just panicking for no reason. So now I'm just harassing Akali as much as possible. And again, the strength of harassing this Akali rather than just thinning the wave is that if she does choose to roam and ditch the wave completely, or ditch the lane completely, she's going to be low, or she's going to have no pots. And she's going to be stuck in a really sticky situation. And it's going to make it harder and harder for her to actually get the wave in. So I'm just last hitting here. I don't want to touch the wave. I'm playing very patient here. Again, getting that poke down onto this Akali. Holding. Look at this. Yes, there's a skirmish going on bot, but I know I don't want to go to that. I've got a tier. I'm a tier Orianna. Akali starts walking. The wave's on my side, so I'm all good. I can temporarily just maybe spot this Akali out, and then spot him out, and then go back to my lane here, because the wave's actually still going to be frozen. Or at least temporarily here, in which I can slow build out. So it's not frozen, it's just chilling here. Akali's missing a lot of XP. Not XP, sorry, gold. Because she can't get in range. And I've actually missed a lot of CS. My CS lead should be much higher than it is now. I've just missed a lot of CS. So again, notice how I'm pressuring this Akali. I'm making it very difficult for her to roam. And this Akali feels like choked out. She's like, well, I can't really walk up. I can't really get this CS, so I might as well just roam, right? So I'm trying to pressure her. I'm just walking past the wave. And now she's caught out of position. She's found herself in a sticky situation. And the beautiful thing is, if this happens and they roam when the wave's building out to them, you can just hard shove and then they miss a lot of farm. And I can slow build out and I get a complete reset without even having to, I don't even have to, what's it called? I don't even have to TP. I don't get punished for not having TP here. So I go back to base and check out what happens again. I get my double amplifying tomb. I come back and look, the wave's coming out to me again. Wave's coming out to me again. Pull it. Every single time, this is what I'm trying to do. Yes, I don't get priority, but I'm going to get more and more ahead of this Akali. Trying to get that poke down onto this Akali, making it very difficult for her. And if she decides to get this wave in and try to break this freeze, then I'm going to take an aggressive trade to punish her. Boom. Boom. And look what happens again. She's really desperate to get the wave in. She's too low. She has to literally can't even get the cannon. She loses that XP and gold. And then I pull the wave again. This is what I do again and again and again. I mean, it's so difficult for Akali to play the game. Yes, she can roam, but if she roams, she's losing all this farm. So every roam is incredibly risky. If she's able to get this wave out, then the roam's fine, right? She's not going to miss anything. But the roam is risky. And what you'll find, by the way, I know people, you're going to get Reddit analysts say, you know, you're wrong. You know, they can just roam, exploit the map. Trust me, my side lanes are going to flame me, and then they're just going to die to ganks. Dude, you are going to get so far ahead of this guy, especially when you're playing champions like Orianna that can 1v9. You can make up for it. Plus, what's to say, like, what are the chances that every single time the enemy roams, they're going to be able to get a kill? If you ward well, you ward onto one side, you harass them like I've been telling you, and you actually ping way in advance, it's highly unlikely that they're going to get much value from their roams. And every single time they roam, they're losing out big time. You do that 2 or 3 times, they'll be level 5 when you're level 7, or they'll get a 2 level difference. And already I'm creating a pretty significant XP lead onto this Akali. And then, usually what will happen, the enemy jungle will have to help them. And notice how I'm not just, a lot of the time, if Akali leans out, I'm following the Akali. And I'm trying to make her life very difficult. Again, trying to hold the wave here, and I can't really hold the wave here. And I know a bot dive's going on, so I actually try to follow here. This is one of those situations where I try to follow, but I'm very careful. Using my ball to get a little bit of vision here. And then Akali gets frustrated, and this ties into that same thing. Because she hasn't had good resets, she doesn't have many resources, her kill threat goes out the window. And that's actually what happens with a lot of assassins, by the way. If they fall behind levels 1 to 6, and by the time they hit level 6, their kill threat goes out the window. So again, hopefully this was another example that highlights what I'm trying to look for in the early laning phase. And just to tie things together, guys, we fast forward to 10 minutes 45 seconds here. After the game gets out of this initial early laning phase, like probably from 8 minutes 30 onwards, then I start to play for a little bit more priority, because that's when like Rift Herald's starting to spawn, the game, people start to have a lot more damage, and priority means a lot more. But before Rift Herald and that sort of thing, the early laning phase, I'm completely fine to be greedy and very selfish and hold the wave on my side. Now, look, we're 10 minutes 35 in, I don't slow build anymore. I just hard shove because I want priority. And now, the beauty of this, I've established such a big lead from from minute 1 to 8. By the time I'm playing for priority and playing for skirmish and team fights like that, I'm so strong, or the enemy is so weak comparatively to me, in which the game is so much easier. I've just created a massive lead in the first 8 minutes of the game. And this is actually where, you know, I was telling you in terms of like what allowed me to get to high challenger, like, it was all these small details that added up to create leads. So when when I talk about small wins creating a big win, then when I reach a skirmish and I TP to a skirmish or whatever it is, I can actually just kill people in the side lane. And then when it comes to those like 15-minute team fights, I win out because I'm the one with the XP advantage. I'm the one with the item advantage. And I started finding myself getting into a lot more favorable situations. So let's actually check out a few more examples, guys. So in this example here, guys, I was actually playing Renekton into Kiana mid, and I was actually taking a lot of good trades. So I used my priority off one wave to complement my jungler, and then I come back to mid lane right now. So if we take a look at the resources right now, Kiana only has 1 corrupting pot left. She has no TP, she obviously has ignites, and she has basically no mana. Now, I'm a champion in this situation where I in a weird way, have a resource advantage because I have Doran's shield, I have no mana, and I'm full HP. So it's very difficult, or there's no way for Kiana to actually replenish her resources with only that 1 corrupting pot. So what I do, look at this. Now, as soon as I see Kiana actually sit in lane with no mana, I'm completely fine with this relaxing. The longer I can maintain this chokehold onto this Kiana, the better. Because what does this mean? It means Kiana's never going to be able to go to a fight. Kiana's never going to be able to come to a skirmish. Kiana's never going to be able to set up ganks. Kiana is completely out of the game, which means the amount of time that I actually get pressure and the amount of time that I'm actually exerting pressure on the map and potentially even dragging the enemy jungle or support to mid lane has extended. Okay, so in this situation, I don't want to just hard shove onto tower. I want to slow build. So I'm trying to slow build here, make it very difficult for Kiana to CS, and make it very difficult for Kiana to do anything proactively, because I know Kiana's the one in this situation that wants to do something proactive. Now again, look at it. I'm just creating a slow build. I'm not just hard shoving, and I'm sitting at the max range trying to see if Kiana's actually looking for a recall. Now, she actually misses a whole minion of XP. She's trying to do the fake recall thing at max range and try and pretend that she's recalling, but it didn't work. And I'm just last hitting here, last hitting. Now, I maybe thought she recalled, so I ended up just shoving it in because I couldn't really slow build for any longer. And then I decided to stay. I don't want to recall. Again, I want to punish this Kiana for sitting in lane with no mana. So then, I go back to lane, I ward one side, and look, I see her recalling, creating a slow build, take one good trade, and again, the longer this chokehold is onto this Kiana, it's so hard for a team to do anything proactively. When imagine you're a jungler and you see this. What do you do? What do you do? You want your mid laner to recall, but if he recalls, this is going to go down -7 or -6. And not many mid laners want to do that. So either way, it's a win-win. They get no pressure, or they go down -6, or they get no pressure and go down -6, which is what happens in this clip, where I'm staying in lane for as long as possible. The jungler tries to gank me, but because I'm full HP, taking good trades, I have that resource advantage. There's really not much I can do. Now I'm relieving pressure from their both lanes here, Nidalee showing on the map. Now Kiana's frustrated, right? Fine, you win. I'm just going to recall, so then I just instantly get the wave in and deny this Kiana a lot of XP. Now I'm at 84 to 64 CS. I've had a lot of control over this lane, and the lead gets larger and larger and larger. I'm always trying to find a way, no matter the matchup. Yes, I'm not able to do it as much in a matchup like, you know, Renekton versus Kiana, because it's difficult for me to zone her from the XP range, but it's the same premise where I'm trying to keep them in lane with low resources and utilize my resource advantage to build waves or establish control in the lane to, again, relieve pressure from the rest of the map. It's the same premise again and again and again. Now, in this example here, guys, I want to show you something that you need to be careful of if you do want to replicate this strategy in your own solo queue games. Now, in this example, I slow built the first two waves. The third wave actually bounced out. Both the cannons are now dead, and the wave's actually slow building back to me. Now, in a lot of other examples, you would think, okay, this is a very good situation. You've got a bit of a resource advantage here. You still have one corrupting pot, one biscuit. The wave's coming back to you. You're all good. But the key differentiating factor in this example is that I actually have cleanse, whereas this guy actually has TP. Now, this does throw a spanner in the works. So let's just play out this example, and then we can talk about the benefits and the things that you need to be careful of if you don't take TP, and how important TP actually is for this specific strategy. So anyway, here, I'm taking some aggressive trades, tethering that E quite nicely, trying to be careful about how much I attack this wave, and trying to keep it on my side. Trying to get some harass down onto this Veigar, make his life very difficult. I see my Graves in top river, so potentially, you know, Veigar's very desperate to get the wave out, that sort of thing. To be honest with you, I'm probably hitting the wave a little bit too much here. I don't know why I'm hitting the wave so much, but I'm still happy with the wave state at the moment. Now, in this situation, in any other situation where I do have TP, this would be a very, you know, a somewhat decent situation. Now, here, you know, because I don't have TP, if Veigar were to instantly back up and actually TP back to lane, I would be kind of screwed, because I don't believe I have enough resources to be able to get this wave out in time for me to crash it under tower, and which Veigar can actually hold the wave on his side, and then he can do the exact same thing that I have done to other people. So, if you don't have TP, what you do need to do is play a little bit slower. You need to be a little bit more frugal with your resources, and you need to take into account that if they come back and TP, or if they come back or walk back, do I have enough resources to either crash the wave before they TP, or do I have enough resources to still get the wave out and slow build a wave out, even if they TP back with replenished resources? That's something you need to factor in. Now, a lot of the time, if you don't have TP, for some reason, you have to take cleanse. You're versing maybe a Galio or a Twist of Fate, or sometimes a Veigar. To be honest with you, I don't even think taking cleanse versus Veigar is even worth it. I think just building Mercs is fine, and taking TP because Orianna outranges Veigar so hard. I feel like I can just get away with TP, just build Mercs. But anyway, in that situation, sometimes you just can't do the slow building strategy as well. You just need to play a lot more aggressively and actually stay in their face and look for a recall off a cannon wave. That's what you generally have to do. Play the lane more stock standard if you don't have TP. So it's something to keep in mind. And this situation, I get away with it because our team is like kind of able to collapse onto this Veigar. He gets caught in the river here, and our Jhin kind of pops off for this little bit of a niche skirmish. But, and in this situation, I believe my jungle actually comes back and helps me shove out the wave or something. But I got very lucky here. And I think that if this Veigar was very good and really understood waves, you can get punished very, very hard. Now, what I'm about to show you here is actually a clip from one of my coaching clients from the Kangaroo tier within my Patreon. Now, we actually went over this VOD this morning where he played Viktor into Yasuo. And this is a very heavy trading matchup. Now, when I was watching this, I'm like, why is this so hard? Why does this lane feel so hard for him? And I realized he actually went Doran's with 2 pots. And he didn't, obviously didn't go Time Warp Tonic with Corrupting Pot, Biscuits, that sort of thing. And what I wanted to show you guys in contrast with this video is how different this laning phase would be in terms of how much control he can exert on the lane if he actually opted in for a more aggressive rune and itemization choice in the early game and was okay with going back for maybe an early Time Warp Tonic or something like that as Viktor. So here, Yasuo is trading very aggressively onto the Viktor. He's trying his best to thin the wave. He's trying his best to to prevent Yasuo from crashing. He did a nice job of dodging that Yasuo Q. But as you can see, he's really struggling resource-wise to deal with this Yasuo. And I was thinking to myself, imagine if he had, 1 attack speed shard, which you should generally always do in these very push-heavy matchups, and he had Time Warp Tonic Biscuits. He could get into Yasuo's face here. He could easily heavy trade within these creeps and prevent this Yasuo from getting the wave out. I was thinking to myself, how much better would that have been? And because he has Doran's Ring, and because he doesn't have the access to the resources, and because he's trying to play the lane very slow, he gives a lot of control over this Yasuo. He's forced to miss CS under tower like this, and essentially he has 0 wave control. He has 0 control over what happens with the wave in this lane, and he's very reliant on his jungler to help him. Okay? And the way I like to play League, I like to think to myself, screw that, I don't want to rely on my jungle having to help me and fix waves. I want to have as much wave control as possible. And that's what the strength of Time Warp Tonic and Biscuits with Corrupting Pot really allows you to do. Now, a caveat, that's not to say that you should be taking this specific rune setup every single game. There's a lot of matchups where you're not going to be able to control the waves as much as I said in these matchups with Orianna or Viktor or things like that. But you've got to experiment. I just want you guys to see the potential of what can happen with great wave management and in matchups where you do have access to control the waves, what is actually possible. Now for a few key points, guys. So note, this whole entire thing does not work if you are not competent with jungle tracking, warding, and side lane awareness. You also must have the micro and tethering aspect down pat of your champion. Now, this is, at the end of the day, a culmination of all the fundamentals coming together to create a very advanced laning strategy. Yes, this may be a little bit overwhelming, but again, take your time. This is what's possible if you get all those fundamentals down pat, if they're all muscle memory. There's no way you're going to be able to think about what you're going to do with the third wave or the second wave, or which wave you need to push, which wave you need to slow build, if you're worrying about tethering and micro and jungle tracking. Like, this stuff has to be very much already a part of your gameplay. So, number 1, guys, protecting the wave through aggression is better than matching the wave clear. Hopefully I made this pretty clear throughout those examples. Number 2, the positioning of your champion is important to generating threat, and we will go deeper within another video within this series specifically. Number 3, Corrupting Pot and Time Warp Tonic is incredibly strong if used correctly. If you're just taking Time Warp Tonic and Corrupting Pot and you're playing very defensive, you're not really understanding the benefits of it, again, you're better off just taking Doran's Ring and 2 pods. And number 4, guys, you must be confident in your ability to utilize these resources you're going to be getting with this strategy in order to actually carry, right? If you're not confident in your ability to 1v9 and utilize these resources, then there's no point in doing this strategy, right? So if you're not playing a 1v9 champion like Orianna, Cassia, or something like that, or maybe you're just not even comfortable in 1v9ing in your elo with a lot of resources, then maybe you shouldn't be playing this style of League of Legends. I'm just putting it out there. It's not for everyone. This is just what's personally worked for me and allowed me to climb. At the end of the day, guys, I'm not a Reddit analyst. I'm not trying to sit here and say, oh, according to the maths, according to the stats, this is how many waves you should push. This is just what's worked for me. All right, this is just what's actually gotten me results. Right, I'm trying to be a practitioner, and I'm really trying to get this across within my video. So if you do want to be a carry, you must try this strategy and fail and fail and fail, okay? There's going to be a lot of times where you get all the resources, you get like a 30 CS lead, you might even get a kill, set up a gank, whatever, and then you might die and give a shutdown. That's fine, right? Then that's an area of your gameplay you can work up, but you must be confident in your ability to carry, and that only comes with trial and error, failing, succeeding, failing, succeeding, that entire process. Now for some final notes here, guys. Now I hope that you're able to see the strength of having more intention with your wave state and what can happen as a result, as well as the strength of having TP, Time Warp, and Corrupting Pot. Here are some key reminders. Number 1, try and call for jungle assistance when you're building and holding waves. This is very OP if you are duo, by the way. Number 2, don't default shove the third bounced wave. As you can see through all of my examples, as I hard shoved level 1 and 2, the wave comes out on the third bounce wave. I didn't just default response, shove, because then again, like, what's the point? Then the wave's just going to be stuck outside the tower. What advantage am I actually getting? I'm thinking in the long term. I'm thinking, okay, then the next wave's going to be here, so then I can hold it out here, then I can build waves from this location. I'm thinking in the future. But guys, if you are planning to, let the third wave actually come out, there will be situations in which they actually get level 3 first. So you've got to be a little bit careful that they might get level 3 first, in which you've got to respect, and that's completely fine. You will get level 3 soon, but as long as you're keeping your distance, not getting all in as they get level 3 first, you will be fine. This is especially important when you're versing assassins like Fizz, Zed, Akali. When they do hit level 3, they may look to all in you. So make sure you're very careful about tethering and literally pinpointing which specific minion they will get level 3 off. Number 3, sacrificing farm for zoning XP is always worth. And the last point here, guys, number 4, when slow building, attack the casters to create a slower build, but when hard shoving to crash as soon as possible, target the melee creeps, right? This is just the way the minions work, obviously, because the casters do more damage. So if you actually kill the casters or thin the casters first, you're going to create a much slower build. But if you actually target the melees first, what's going to happen is your melees and your range creeps are going to start attacking the enemy casters sooner, in which they're very squishy and they're going to die much faster. So that's much better if you're looking to crash the wave as fast as possible. So thanks for watching, guys. I know this was a very complex video. Let me know if you want to see more of these in-depth lane mechanic videos. This is just what worked for me. May not work for you. I just wanted to put it out there. I'm trying to keep things as practical as possible. If you have any questions, leave a specific question in the comments below. I'll make sure to reply as many to you as possible, or join the Discord and ask away there. Cheers, guys.